to her. Now, what I like about Marquita, she's an expert. Uh, she works with you. She helps you. So, Marquita,
Hello, hello, hello. How is everyone today?
great. Can we see you?
Absolutely. Let me just clean this screen. All right, how about that?
That's great. So we've been waiting on you. Everybody's been sitting here. They got their pen, their paper out. I've already told
Okay.
them about your accolades. Even when you went to that conference and you was like the only black person there out of about 240 something people, and you continue to educate yourself and learn more and more and more about these tax stuff so you can help us beauty professionals make more money, keep more money, because Amazon made what 100 and they got back $129 million on the tax thing. They didn't have to pay nothing. So without further ado, can you take over and just teach us, empower us, enlighten us, and will you be willing to do some consultations with people afterwards, how they can contact you to help them?
Certainly. Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right.
All right. Well, thank you so very much for the opportunity. And so it's a whole lot happening right now. I want to start off with I like to never make assumptions about what people know or don't know. So number one, in this industry, it's very important that what we've made some major takeaways from what's happening. One thing is that it's extremely important to have a legal structure as a business owner. You need, regardless if you're booth renting or if you have your own shop. Certainly, if you have your own shop, you want to have a legal structure. And then secondly, you want to look at being on payroll. Even if you're booth renting, you are an employee. You are a business owner, and you can be an employee of your company. The reason that's critical is because I had a young lady who was a nail tech, and she had her legal structure established. She was on payroll. She was doing it all great. Then some things happened. She got married and all this kind of thing. So she stopped doing payroll. She right now could have been drawing unemployment. Wow, why this whole thing is happening, she's off. If you're an employee of your company, then, and if you stop working, you can draw unemployment taxes. And so there is a phase, everyone has heard that they're going to allow people who are self-employed to be able to draw unemployment. Many people have already applied that are in the the cosmetology industry, and they've gotten denials because the first phase was for people who were employees who had verified W-2s going in. The second phase, which is unheard of, they never have done it this way, to allow contractors, which are self-employed who don't have a W-2, to be able to get unemployment. So that is supposed to be coming soon, whenever that is, because there's a lot of these processes and procedures and programs they're rolling out without the bandwidth of people to execute them, and a lot of details. Anytime when you roll out things quickly, something does get left out, and so they're thinking through that. And so then the other component of that is, if you're an employee, you could apply for the PPP loan. This loan is one that it is, oh my gosh, phenomenal, because if you have a legal structure and you're an employee of your company, you would be able to apply for this loan to pay yourself. If you were renting a building, to pay the rent, pay the utilities, and the loan can be 100% forgiven. So that is what we are right now working with a lot of business owners and churches and not-for-profits to get done. But you may be saying, you know what, that's nice, that's fine and dandy, that's not my situation. What do I need to do today? One of the first things that I will tell you that's beautiful is the fact that you are working with Chin, because with virtual programming, that is where you have to get creative. You can't get it's very easy to get stifled with fear and then just stop. But this is the worst time to stop. This is where you really have to execute a different mindset with business. But by the same token is if you've learned that you didn't have the right structure, then this is the time to execute, because I was just listening today to the CEO of Panera Bread talk on a conference call, and he made mention, this is supposed to come back. They're going to lift this, but they're projecting this will happen again in the fall. So if we know that, it is time to game up legal structure, payroll. It doesn't matter. Pay yourself a small amount. It could be $100 a week, $200 a week, but you want to be in the system so that way you're paying unemployment. So when it comes time for you, if this should happen again, that you are in a position to be able to reap these benefits and programs that are out there from that standpoint. Questions about that?
Yeah. step one, how do they do it? If a person don't know anything, what do they do? Call you or go online? I mean, what do they do?
Yeah. So number one, I would say that the first thing you want to do is write down is number one, we want to start with your 2019 tax return. If you have not filed tax return, I meet with a lot of people in the cosmetology industry that for whatever reason, in judgment-free zone, I always say that judgment-free zone, when we know better, we should do better. So what has happened in the past, that's irrelevant. We just got to fix where we're at. So if you haven't filed a 2018 tax return or a 2019 tax return, this is the time, step one, come back and document what you made in 2019 in revenue. So if that means if you use StyleSeed or some application or something like that, then great. Go back and look and see how much money you were paid. If you didn't use that and you had an appointment book and you wrote down and some people circle numbers, whatever it is, you need to come back to how much money you made in 2019. And if you're like, you know what, I didn't write it down, I don't have StyleSeed, I don't have an application, then think about before all this happened in your regular work week, how many people did you see? What was your average cost? So you can go back and recreate what your income is for 2019. Then create what your expenses are for 2019. Meaning, think about the things that you know first. If you were booth renting, then you know what the booth rent amount is. Write that down of how many weeks that you paid that for that amount. Think about supplies, towel services, advertising, hair shows, travel. Begin to dig, and if you look through your banks, if you have a bank account, look through your bank statements. That'll kind of help trigger expenses that you have, because ultimately your first step is to get 2019 summary down so you know your income and your expenses. Now, let's talk about this. There are some individuals that are in the cosmetology field and they work somewhere else, but they've never filed their business income. Well, now they want to get a business loan and get this business loan forgiven, but it's never been on their tax return. You still can amend your 2019 return to put that income on there. So I always say, let's start with the first thing. And one thing we do when we work with clients is we're not going to file anything without talking with you. We come up with the draft and then we look back at it to make sure, is it realistic? Because you're trying to think back a year ago. Well, I get it. So we make sure that does this, once you initially send it, we look at the numbers, talk through it to come up to what we find is really more accurate and true with you, and then see what the tax results are. Then once there's agreed upon, then we'll file that. That's the key, because right now with 19, with the low-hanging fruit is the stimulus dollars of the $1,200 or $2,400. That's the low-hanging fruit from the standpoint. And so in order to get that, you've had to file a 2019 or 2018 tax return from that standpoint. So that's where I would start. If you are someone who says, you know what, that's great, I've already filed my 19 tax return. What do I do for 2020? Then if you've already done your 19 tax return, then for 2020, I want you to go and look at January through March. Calculate your income and your expenses for 2020. The reason I want you to do that is because in order to be able to apply for any of these programs, they want accounting. They want some type of numbers. You can't just say, throw a number out of the sky. So that's going to help you to formulate that. That's also going to be used if we talk and you want to look at maybe setting up a legal structure for your company. That's going to help me to help you tell you what's the best legal structure. I was talking with someone yesterday and they, was a partnership, and we're actually in the process of getting ready to change them to be an S corporation because there was a significant tax difference. And then a young lady in the afternoon that I talked with, who's a cosmetologist and she's a professional speaker, she has an S corporation that her professional speaking business is, but her hair salon is a sole proprietor. So her tax bill was $6,000 because of that structure. Had she put her salon in the speaking business in the S corp, she would have had, I think, she would have had to pay payroll taxes, but ultimately she would have walked away with more dollars than what she spent. She would have got a refund of $3,900. $6,000 balance due, refund of $3,900, but she would have also been qualified for unemployment while her salon is closed right now. So that's what I would encourage you, the steps to take. I'm happy to work with with anyone that's in this program, that's part of Chin's program. We do a free chat meet and greet. We call it a chat meet and greet to initially talk at no cost. Normally that is a $250 cost. We offer that free meet and greet for the people that are connected with Chin that's part of any of his programs.
Okay, now, a lot of the barbers, they operate like drug dealers. So they don't have no bank account, nothing. So what do you recommend a barber, the guys that operate like that, what can they do? Or what should they
It
start?
is, I will tell you what we have to do is we have to determine that you want to have a business and not a hustle and not a lifestyle business. A lifestyle business is when someone pays you $30, then you use it in your lifestyle. That's not, the lifestyle business is only going to be there. It's just money in hand, money out of hand. When you really want to go the next level and you want to have something that's sustainable and something that has longevity, then you've got to do it right. And we can help you move from where you are to where you need to be. Banking, oh my gosh, Shin just said the key word. This whole thing has taught me a huge lesson, because guess who the PPP loans that are going in right now are typically the ones, many are getting approved and they're getting their letters back from SBA saying they've been approved. But the key now is funding of them. So some people I'm all for small community banks when it comes to getting traditional lending, because you want someone who can make a decision with you. Because sometimes people don't understand that small community banks, or any bank from that standpoint, there are personal bankers, and many of those loan officers have their own lending authority. That means they can decide without going to a group of to underwriters or to a board to say yes up to a certain threshold amount. So that's why I like small community banks from that standpoint. But here in this game day with this PPP, it paid to have a large institution that was heavily capitalized, like a Wells Fargo or Bank of America, because the loans that have went out the door without SBA funds have been mostly Bank of America customers, because Bank of America advanced their own money without waiting on the SBA. So lesson learned for all of us in this, even for myself, I now tell clients, I want you to have two bank accounts. I want you to have a bank account with a large institution, because they're capitalized. Capitalized essentially just means they have the dollars to move forward without waiting on to get funds. Then I want you to have a bank account with a small community bank, because you need to be able to, banking is about relationship. The more you can develop the relationship, the easier that it is. But when it comes to PPP funds, these smaller banks, the relationship won't make this happen from this standpoint. That's not going to be the thing that pulls this to make this, pull the trigger on it. Yeah, they may be able to, many of them aren't even the ones that are making the decision. Many of the small banks have formed a committee that handles the PPP, if not outsourced it altogether. So my new recommendation is to have a large bank and a small bank, but you do have to start being diligent and making the bank deposits. We help our clients with that. This can seem, if you haven't done any of this and you've been just kind of letting the business operate you, it can seem like, oh, this is a lot, this is overwhelming. But I can tell you, we have been working with a host of barbers and beauticians. And I have seen the ones who come in and said, I don't know anything about this. Give me baby steps. Tell me what to do. 1, 2, 3. We've told them what to do. And they've done the 1, 2, 3. And I can tell you the stories are phenomenal of those who've taken advantage and done those things, because now today they have able to verify income. They have tax returns. So they're able to do the necessary things to play the game at this level, versus the ones that are not. They're having to catch up. But even if you have to catch up, it doesn't matter. It's about where you are now and what you do to move forward. Get a structure. Number one, let's talk, let's chat. The free chat doesn't cost you anything. Let's chat, talk about your individual situation and what's the best plan for you, because there are different situations. If you're married, if you work somewhere else, if this is your only income, if you have children, those things can all lead you down a different road. But the bottom line is to know what you need to, and I can tell you, in order to play this game at this level from where we're at right now, it normally comes with the legal structure for most. And then secondly, for everyone, having a bank account where you are depositing the business money into the bank, paying the business expenses out of the bank account, and it, depending upon your profit, if you're in a position to be able to pay yourself a payroll. And the thing that before this pandemic happened, we had barbers that would come to us and say, you know, when I look at their numbers, in the natural, their profit was $15,000. But when I got to talking to them about their capacity, okay, how many people can you see? How many days are you in the shop? What is your average haircut? I'll tell you, 90% of those conversations, nobody was operating. Okay, sorry. 90% of those conversations, no one was operating at capacity, because we often get comfortable with good. when great is on the other side of good. So I really do push them to peak capacity, to, yeah, working. So I had some barbers that were working 3 days a week and they were like, it's okay. But when I showed them, do you want to own the shop? Do you want to be able to have payroll and have retirement? And then they were like, yes, I want to be part of that. Then, okay, you've got to be willing to invest the time now. And they gained up and they saw the residuals from that. So.
Mm-hmm. Okay, now, what do you feel if a barber or stylist wants to move forward? A lot of them aspire to have a nice house. What do you recommend? Because a lot of them ain't gonna pay their taxes, or they're gonna say they made 100,000. Well, I'm gonna say I made 50. So can you hit on that and tell us?
Absolutely. So no one is giving a loan to somebody that's not making money. That's bottom line. So you have to think about, one of the things when I talk to clients on the phone, I'll say, what is your immediate goal in the next 12 months? What's the number one thing that you'd like to see happen? And if they tell me, I desire to purchase a home, then I say, okay, in order to purchase a home, a banker wants to know that you're making money. So that means this year, we need to show profitability. We need to have documentation so that you're not what they consider unverified. Unverified is when they have to take your Schedule C and take that as the proof of your income. That's a higher interest rate versus if you have a W-2 form, it's your company, but it's a W-2 from your company. That is called verified funds, and that comes with a lower interest rate in the market for a homeowner. So if I have a barber there that wants to, or beautician that wants to, if their dream or their goal for the 12 months is a home, then I know we're going to push to make sure that they're working at capacity and they're profitable, so that when a banker looks at those and they have the necessary documentation to prove it, when they look at their documents, they can see that they can qualify for that loan. We call it backwards planning. Stephen Covey said it best. You begin with the end in mind. That's why I asked what the goal is, so we can back up and make that happen. Now, once they get the home, I've got some people who've, they had a goal to purchase a home. They had a goal to own their own shop. They were booth renting and they actually wanted to own the shop. And some of them went on to own the shop, and now they're doing other things out. Their shop is making money and they're getting booth rent, and they got someone that's servicing their customers that they used to service. So they've moved completely from beyond the chair, but now they're in a position where they they want to minimize their taxes. So now we're able to look at ways to reduce their income so they don't overpay, but they got the things that they needed. So you got to know what your goals are. That's number one. So if you're on this call, I'm challenging you. What do you want to see happen in the next 12 months? And many of you are like, hey, I want to get back to work. I understand it. I understand that. But when you go back to work, what do you want to have happen in the next 12 months? Because here's the thing, you're going to be at peak and in demand. I can tell you, I'm ready to schedule all kind of appointments as soon as y'all come back. So there are many people so what are you going to do with that point in time? Do you have systems in place? Have you thought about, and I know Chin goes through probably a lot of this from the standpoint, but do you have systems in place to capture those? There's going to be a whole lot of people that want your service. And are you just going to capture who you can do? Or do you have a structure set up in place where other people that you're going to have working those extra hours so that you can have this money? And then the better question after that, once you make the money, is this money going to just go through your hand, or is it going to help to build you a sustainable business model? That's why this is the time during this season to be laying out your tools, your execution models, getting your rest, because when the stay order is over, you should come out strong with what your hours are going to be, those kind of things. But then more so on the financial tip, you know why you're doing it and what you hope to accomplish from that standpoint.
Now, what's the best way for people to contact you? I'm on your Instagram page.
You're on my Instagram page. I need to learn to play better on Instagram. I play better on Facebook. So, but you can reach me at the phone number to the office is 816-444-0004. That is the best way to reach me, because my office manager is amazing of setting up those meet and greet chats very quickly. She'll work with your schedule. She has my calendar. She sets that up. So you'll have that information. And I'll put that phone number in the chat very quickly, so you have that. You can Facebook me. I have a lot of people who do send me Facebook messages, but ultimately in the end, they end up being redirected back to the office, because I let her control that calendar so that I don't miss anything from that standpoint. So that would be the best way, and I'll put that in the chat.
Okay. So you say you're gonna put that phone number in the chat?
Yes, sir. Is that okay?
Yes. I can put it in there. Give me the number. 816.
444.
Oh yeah, you just put it in there.
Yep.
And if any of y'all forget anything, y'all can always reach out to me, and I'll
Absolutely.
direct you or point you to Marquita. Now, I know your time is valuable. Can you take maybe 5 minutes for some Q&A?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Okay. So now, what questions do y'all have? Anybody got any questions that you want to ask right now? Oh, I got a question. Guys that owe child support.
Okay.
What can they do?
So here's the thing. Depending upon how much your profit is, but the structure is, if you have the child support is against you personally, but if you have a legal entity, let's say, for example, an LLC that's taxable as an S Corp, then that money is not attached to child support from that standpoint. So you would control the child support amount by determining if you have a W-2. But let's say, for example, it's a barber that works somewhere else and the child support is coming out of your regular wages. Well, then you can have the S Corp that is running the business, that's a legal entity, it's collecting money. No wage assignment can go against the S corporation's revenue, only if you are getting a payroll from the S corp, and then that's still based upon your income from that standpoint. So more than ever, if child support or student loans, if there's debt garnishments or anything like that, the legal structure really is a I don't want to say shelter because that sounds very good. It's a covering, if you will. It's another entity. It's legal structures are living, breathing entities. And so therefore, no one can just take money from those companies. It has to be a process unless you're getting payroll. So that's what I would say. Someone made one of the questions I also saw come up about software to help you get organized other than QuickBooks. We've helped many barbers and beauticians with doing their monthly accounting, where we produce a statement for them based upon their bank statements. But because you've got to deposit money into the bank account, you've got to pay the bills from the bank account. And we talked to you about how you get your personal money out, but we've taken the bank statements and created their accounting. We've got some people that don't pay $50 a week for that, depending upon their transactions. So accounting can be very reasonable. That takes that burden off of you. But if you have the time and you want to tackle it, QuickBooks would be the one thing that I would say. There are some, if you're very techie savvy, you can look at some apps that are out there just Google accounting apps, and that will allow you to summarize. But here's the thing. It's kind of like someone trying to do their own relaxer who's not a beautician. They're going to go get the box product. There's issues with that. You guys know all the issues. That's the same thing that happens with someone trying to do their own accounting. They may get close, but it's not going to be the same thing. That the look wouldn't be the same thing if they come to your shop. That's the same results when it comes to accounting, but it beats you not having anything in order from that standpoint. But if you use your bank account properly, that document we can use to create and generate your financial statements for you from that standpoint. I saw another question come up. Okay, so bank accounts with tax IDs. So people are really quick to jump and get an EIN number, but that's not the right way. It's kind of like if you give birth to a child, the child gets a name, a social security number, right? So giving birth to a business, the business has to have a legal structure first. And you got to determine if that's going to be an LLC. And even if it's LLC, LLCs are very popular right now. LLC stands for Limited Liability Company. But you've got to know how you want to be treated for taxes. If you call the IRS and say, oh, I'm an LLC, send me the LLC form, there's no such thing. LLCs can be taxed as a corporation, a C Corp, partnership, or sole proprietor. You're still an LLC, but you've got 4 different ways you can be taxed. So that's where it comes down to really looking at your situation to determine what is the best structure for you. So in order to get a bank account, you need to have your articles of organization for your document. Then you do need your EIN number. And then they're normally going to ask you for an operating agreement if you're an LLC. An operating agreement states who is authorized to sign on behalf of the company, who is authorized to legally bind the company. You can have someone be a signer for the company that's not an employee. So that's with any time when we set up LLCs for individuals, they get a nice binder. We also email the information. We email it to their personal banker as well. So all they have to do is go in and sign the signature card and set their account up. We don't have access to the account or anything like that. We simply set it up so you have your articles organization, your operating agreement, your EIN number, so that you have all those documentation so you know that it's set up properly. There are times where I've met with most of cosmetology, most people, typically the LLC, where we differ at is based upon the type of structure that you need, the taxation structure from that standpoint. But I've got individuals that are medical doctors, and sometimes it's better for them to have not a LLC at all and have a PC company, a professional corporation. But that's the kind of thing we're going to chat about a little bit when you call, so that I can make sure we're on the same page about what's happening for your individual session and self.
Okay. Now, I always tell the barber
again.
What do you say, Ms. Edwards?
She said articles, operations, operation agreement, the EIN.
Yep. So your items that you have to have that a bank will want from you, if you're an LLC, they're going to ask for your articles of organization, operating agreement, and your EIN. Those are the three things, if you're an LLC, that a bank will want. Now, if you've made your tax designation, your operating agreement will speak to that, and then you will have other documents. So like if you're an S Corp, you're going to have additional tax documents. If you're an S Corporation, from that standpoint, or whatever your designation is, you're going to have documents to speak to that. But the bank needs those three items if you're an S Corp, if you're an LLC.
Thank you so much for that.
Okay.
You're very welcome. And many banks don't, even though, sorry to interrupt, many banks are closed right now, but you can call them, because some of the banks do allow for appointments for you to come in to set up the bank account, the business bank account. Some of them are still allowing customers to come in. Some are allowing you to email the personal bankers, and they will set it up, and then you can come through the drive-through normally it's lane 1, and they'll send you the signature card. So there are some that are not doing any opening accounts for businesses, but there are still several that are still opening up business accounts.
Somebody said, do you teach anything about credit, getting credit with the EIN?
I don't go, there's some people who go really deep into that. Your EIN number it's like a Social Security number, so it does open up without you even applying for Dun & Bradstreet, it opens up a Dun & Bradstreet history, and there are creditors that will lend to you. When we talk about those from the standpoint, just some easy ones, Home Depot, things like that will lend to you once you have your EIN number. But here's the thing, just like a Social Security number, let me even back up a little bit further. Nothing mystical changes when you get a business. You are still the business owner. So how you manage your personal finances is probably going to be how you manage the business finances, unless you are intentional about staffing your weakness. I love to talk to people. I love to teach people. But one of the things I do writing for Black Enterprise Magazine, I write, but I've got an editor. I have people who edit everything I do. That's not my strength to make sure that's all grammarly correct. I staff my weakness. So that's not it. The issue is to make sure that if you haven't done if you haven't handled the financial affairs the best way, then you need someone that can hold you accountable to make sure that you're doing it. The weakness is not that you can't do it. The weakness is that you don't staff properly.
Okay. Well, this is one question I always have to tell. Well, I always got to tell them this, because they always say, well, I go to Jackson Hewitt or these little fly-by-night tax places or these franchise tax places. I'm not going to call a lot of their names, but I let them know you're an expert. Tell them why they should come to you versus those franchise tax places.
Well, anytime, just like I talked about with banking, you do business not with the building, you do business with the person. You build a personal relationship with the banker so you can call on them and they know your business. That same principle holds true, and I can even make it plain. When a customer comes to you that's been with you, when you do their hair every 2 weeks, you know their hair. You know what happens during the seasons because you know them. That's the same thing with your business. You don't want to just go to get any random person that you get, and then some of those close down after April 15th. You want to work with someone who knows your business, understands what's happening, so they can be an advocate for your business and help guide and direct. People who jump tax professionals year to year, they don't ever have someone who can look and help them see the trends. I was one of the people I was working with yesterday. I was able to tell her that because she actually sent her documents in saying she was a sole proprietor. I knew she wasn't a sole proprietor because she had formed an S Corp. I was able to catch that, and I immediately did it as an S corp. But had she went to some other place, they would have done her tax return as a sole proprietor. She would have got $1,000 penalty for failure to file the right tax return because they did not know her and she didn't know enough about the questions to ask. So she filled out the paperwork the way she had always done it, forgetting that she's an S corporation. It's about relationship. It's about someone understanding who you are, knowing who you are. It's just, if you're sick, you're not, when someone's sick, you don't go to just any random person. You want someone who knows your medical history and is an advocate for you. That's the same thing in this business. Your accountant, no, man, your accountant is key. That's what I can tell you. It's key. We were releasing documents about the PPP back in March. I'm seeing things from accountants that are coming out now and they're doing Facebook Lives. We released that stuff long ago. We've got customers already have approvals for $214,000, $600,000 that they're waiting on funding. One's getting a $200,000 deposit this week because we were in front of it, because we knew their business model. When someone has to get up to speed with you, that's all time that you're missing versus having your documents. I have a lawyer. We had all her documents in-house. She actually texted me on a Saturday after this during the time. And so we were able to, she's like, I need this. I need my 941s. I said, it's already in your email box. That was sent by an office manager months ago to her. She looked at her email. She had everything she already needed to apply. Relationship is key.
So somebody had, I guess this last question, mothers in the home care business with no back taxes. How can she take advantage of the PP loans? She has been affected by the COVID-19.
Okay, so I'd have a question for that. Number one, if she is an employee of that home care business, would be one question I'd have. And then two, if the home care business, is she using her home, or does she have another home that's 100% used for that business that she's paying a mortgage on or rent? Because even if she's not an employee, she may qualify for the PPP loan to get to pay for her rent or her mortgage interest during that time and utilities. But if this person is not on payroll, they're doing the home office, they're doing the home business from their home, the resident lives in their home, and they haven't properly set up documentation to show that part of the home is business, they may not qualify. But I'd have several, I need to deep dive into some more custom questions and get details to answer that. So from that standpoint, but they could qualify.
Okay. Well, I know I don't want to take up all your time, and I know they got a lot of questions. Can you tell them again the best way they can contact you?
The best way to contact me is 816-444-0004. My office manager, Naomi, is amazing. She will look at your schedule, look at mine, make a meet and greet happen, chat happen. That call is 15 minutes, but that allows us to determine what you need, how to move forward, and then we go from there. That is the best thing to do from that standpoint. And then the next best thing to do is to make sure you hang with Chin, because I'm telling you, people who took advantage of his virtual learning, they are winning right now because they have virtual platforms. They have things that they can offer to people beyond being in the salon, or from that standpoint, because they have ways to make money. And so Chin, you are absolutely before your time, and I don't know. I'm sure your customers are coming back to you saying, thank you so very much for the online learning, because this is, we're not going back to what was normal is no longer. We're not going to go back to that like the way it was. We're going to ultimately change.
So,
yes, sir.
And you've been working virtual for years, because although you're in Kansas City, you work with people all over the United States. So it doesn't matter where y'all live. Y'all don't have to be able to touch her and all of that.
Absolutely. I made my trip to Tennessee to have my face-to-face, and I have more customers outside of Kansas City. So it was easy for us to make this transition from the standpoint. We had some customers who like to come to our office. We are essential, but we were able to it took very little adapting because we have so many virtual customers already that we service. I've got customers I've never met, and I was a speaker at Bishop Jake's conference, and the person came to me and said, "You're my accountant." And I was like, "Really?" And then they gave me the name. I'm like, "Oh, that is you," because I had never met them face to face. So virtual, you have to think broad, you have to think long. And so I myself I'm pulling close. That's how I text Chin. I was like, I got to get in your pocket. I need to make sure that I am learning the next level of this game, because virtual is absolutely the way to go.
So I'm gonna take this video and I'm gonna post it to my group. I'm also gonna post it on my YouTube page and put that link that takes them back to you.
All right. I appreciate it very much.
Can you tell them one more time how to contact you?
You can reach me by calling 816-444-0004. 816-444-0004.
Thank you very much, Marquita.
Thank you so much. Have a great day. Everyone stay positive. Faith over fear.
Bye-bye.
Bye.